You are listening to Mining Stock Education.
And the more we drill, the more we're learning. And the team is super encouraged by what we're seeing. We've got one analyst or two analysts that have been to site, another analyst visit coming next week. And the feedback from the analysts has been extremely positive, and you'll see more reports about it, about how important these holes are and how well this is actually drilling towards a huge system that could be replicating something like a Las Bambas.
Thanks for tuning into MSE. I'm Bill Powers, your host, getting an update today with our sponsor, Coppernico Metals, and CEO and co-founder Ivan Bebek. Ivan, welcome back onto the show. You put out a press release, holes 4 and 5, you gave to the market today. You were drilling into a chargeability target that we talked about 6 weeks ago on the show. What did you find with these results, please?
Great. So it's been a long wait, 9 years with a lot of anticipation on this system. And the question we had is, does this system have a chance to be the next Las Bambas or not? And the one comment I've made multiple times was, would this intercept fit in the back of our presentation with the Las Bambas highlights? And if you go look at that, it certainly does. It's on the edge of a very big target. The 20 meters of 0.5% copper, which was the higher grade portion of it, is very close to surface. That is the grade we're looking for. Yes, we'd like to see a bit more width to it, but the fact that we drilled 20 meters of 0.5% copper right near surface in the fourth hole of this massive project, that's incredible. It gives us a lot of confidence that width and that grade could continue in other holes along this target in other areas that we're exploring. So we tested a chargeability target. There's multiple types of targets in this project. This is a very big system. There's 6 big targets that we have access to as I speak right now. This is the first major one that we're going after. And to see that on the edge of the target with 3 holes pending from within the center of this target and to the other side of it is extremely encouraging. I think the timing of our press release did not go well with the big correction in commodities, seeing gold come off nearly $200 an ounce, copper dropped to $4.09 a pound. And we're certainly going to deal with that in the marketplace. But technically, this is a very, very big vote of confidence, which is why we've made the decision to go and expand our permits, not only to get access to more areas that we're going to want to drill based on what we're learning, but also to be able to add more drill rigs once we do start to get those market holes. And the third point here, Bill, we don't know. It's too hard to tell when you're drilling when that big hole could come. It could be one of the holes pending. It could be hole 9, 10, 12. The important thing there to take from what we're talking about and what we're seeing is things are going extremely well. We're extremely well capitalized. We have at least 30 holes, possibly quite a few more that we can drill here before we have to raise our hands for financing. And our current treasury takes us into the middle of the first quarter of 2026.
So your comparable is Las Bambas. You've talked about this many times. Just to set expectations, what were some of the good drilled holes at Las Bambas as a comparison?
Yeah, if you look in the back of our deck, we show the slides there. In the 100 to 150 meters of 1.5% copper, they have some 20 meters of 6% copper. So there's a variety. This is a skarn system with potentially a major porphyry. We're seeing porphyry indications already in these first 5 holes. So we do know that the porphyry is present. But in those results, skarns are variable. They're not consistent. They will pinch and swell. Around the outside of them, there's a good chance you drill a lot of smoke before you get into the heart of them. But once you start to get into a skarn, they're some of the most profitable types of deposits you can find because they usually have a really good grade that goes with them. So looking back at the highlights from Las Bambas, we're right within that range. This hole is on the edge of a very big target. It is the grade we're looking for, and it's almost the width we're looking for to see repeatedly across these massive targets. We're about 2.5 kilometers away from the Furasso drill holes, which range between 90 and 116 meters, a 0.5 or 0.6 copper gold equivalent. And that is spectacular. That is our most robust target of property in terms of outcrop. But we're currently drilling stuff that's slightly buried undercover nearby some trenches we've done, and we're learning. The important part of the learning part is we're starting to learn what the key vectors are, what the key signals or fingerprints are to the potential higher grade mineralization. And what the key factor is where is the heat source? Where did this all emanate from in some of these big targets? And the more we drill, the more we're learning. And the team is super encouraged by what we're seeing. We've got one analyst or two analysts that have been to site, another analyst visit coming next week. And the feedback from the analysts has been extremely positive. And you'll see more reports about it, about how important these holes are and how well this is actually drilling towards a huge system that could be replicating something like a Las Bambas.
Holes 6, 7, and 8 assays are pending, the press release said. Were those holes drilled into the same target as hole 4 and 5?
Yeah, hole 6 was 250 meters away and towards the center of the target. Hole 7 was on the north end of the center of the chargeability target, and hole 8 was on the east end, about 500 meters away from hole 7. So this is going to give us great perspective on what's happening in this big target. I guess the question that is being asked by us, or was before we drilled it, is there sulfide mineralization associated with the chargeability? Because that's what our model is, that the chargeability be reflecting sulfides. It certainly is, and it's reflecting copper and other metals in those sulfides. So we have an abundance of sulfides, more than we expected. We're seeing copper mineralization in those sulfides. Now it's a geometry game to kind of find the sweet spots and the big parts of the system. So the more we drill into it and beside it, the more excited we get about what this could be. Hole 9 is in a different target. It's on the west end of a target called Chumpi. It's 2.5 kilometers long, which is substantial in size. It's absolutely massive. And we're testing resistive signals, as well as chargeability, as well as magnetics. We have a more consistent overlap of signals that's very similar to what we see over at Furasso. Again, 2.5 kilometers long. We're going to be doing 500 meter step outs. And our goal here in this first 30 holes is to drill the skeleton of the system before we add more drill rigs and start to put them on each target that starts to develop in a potential deposit. So things are going extremely well. There are targets in the system south of Furasso into Escondida that have massive chargeability, much stronger signals than where we're drilling now. And they're on south of where the holes were drilled historically at Furasso. The thickness of those conductive targets is about 500 meters thick and about over 1 kilometer long. So the potential for world-class discovery holes in this project is quite high. If you look at philo mining, which is the latest major success in the copper sector, it took them 22 years before they drilled their big hole. We certainly hope to not be drilling it for 22 years before we get that kind of successful hole out of this project. And we're going to rely heavily on our team to go and explore and vector towards that. But these big systems, they're extremely rewarding once you get into them, once you start to find it, but they can take a bit of time before you get into the sweet spots that really give the obvious direction for the market. I personally think if copper was back at $5 a pound, where it was when we did our raise for the listing of the company in May, back when we raised 19 million at 50 cents per share Canadian, I think we would have had a much different reaction to these results because they're actually extremely positive towards the project.
And with Coppernico's plans, you're going to be drilling year-round. This isn't a seasonality play.
Yeah, the drill will stop for about 10 days through the Christmas break, but this is a year-round drill program that's ongoing. We anticipate a lot of exciting results based on how quickly and what we're learning about the system. There is a little bit of a luck factor of how soon you can drill that big hole that really opens up the skarn system and gives the general public the real obvious nature of it. But it's going well. It's going extremely well. We are super encouraged by what we're seeing. We're kind of waiting on the edge of our seats for the next 3 holes, and we're in the middle. We're just starting our 9th hole here in a different type of target with different signatures that correlate with some really good mineralization already drilled. And we're going to work our way through the 6 major targets that we have. At the same time, we're expanding our permits. We're identifying more targets because this is a very, very underexplored property. And we're finding some more outcrop on different parts of our property that will be included in a more expansive permit. So our pipeline to multiple major discoveries is quite significant. It's getting better. And the learning with the drill bit in the first 5 holes has been extremely educational for our technical team. And now we're targeting things with a lot more confidence. And now it's just a matter of time, in my opinion, before we start to drill those bigger market holes. But the good news, as I said before, is we have at least 30, probably at least 35 holes that we can drill here going into the next year before we get, these answers that we're looking for, more obvious evidence and more continuation of some of the success we're having so far. In hole 4, I'd like to drill 3 holes around it, test a different direction, drill underneath it, drill beside it. There could be a 200 meter width, just 100 meters down underneath it, continuing that kind of grade. That's the kind of probability it opens it for. But we want to know which areas of the system are the most robust earliest so we can add more drills to those parts as we continue to step out. So it's early days. This is a very exciting project. it's timing perfectly with the outlook of copper in the next 2 years. But in the short term, copper's in a penalty box. You've got a lot of pushback in China for growth. You've got a brand new president in the US. There's a lot of confusion in the investing market that was being patient with which president would take it. Would it be Kamala Harris or Trump? Now that that's behind us, and we're going to get a chance to see how the economy is going to evolve from a monetary perspective, not just in the US, but globally, I think the outlook is going to be extremely positive for copper, and the electrification and the green energy initiatives that have been set forward that I understand are going to keep going. But we are in the tail end of seasonality. In about a few weeks from now, the best run in commodities, copper, gold, and silver, it starts from now into April. There's a bit of tax loss selling in Canada. For those of you that are Canadian, you'd be very familiar with this. So it's an opportune time. And for us, it's quite simple. Keep drilling, set ourselves up for success with more permits in more areas to drill and to be able to add more drills. And once we get it, Bill, once we start to see those intercepts and we really get a handle on the system, that's where we're going to be really smart. And if the market's reacting well, we have momentum in our share price, we'd like to add 2 or 3 drills to the program. And by thinking early and ahead with the confidence we have, we're certainly going to be in the position to do that and shorten the time frame to a monetizing event should that all start to transpire.
Your stock trades on TSX under COPR. For U.S. investors, you should have the shares trading on the OTCQX pretty soon, I understand?
Yeah, that's going to actually happen later this week. So we anticipate trading on Thursday of this week. And then we mentioned in our press release that that's when it's about to happen. There will be a short blurb about it when it starts trading there. That will give us a lot more accessibility to the numerous U.S. investors that cannot buy or cannot trade the shares of the company. And I'm in Zurich as we do this interview, just had an incredible conference here, a really, really positive feedback about copper, about what we're drilling, about our project. And we're just about to continue that through New Orleans and then a series of roadshows and marketing in the first quarter of next year. That aggressive initiative to go market the company is being led by what we're seeing from the drill bit and what we're seeing from the project technically, and also what we see as an opportunity that's being missed in our share price. But we're patient, and we're going to be patient with the copper price. We're going to be patient with the market, but we're going to plan to be aggressive once we get through this end of this quarter and get into the first quarter with a lot more holes. And that's an important factor. Our main catalyst to perform with the share price is going to come from the drill bit. There's assays pending. The drill's turning. We'll have at least 12 holes drilled before the Christmas break, and then we'll resume in early January. That's going to be the 3 holes missing plus 4 more. There'll be 7 more holes that will come out, some before Christmas and some right after that in January. And then future releases will be 3 to 5 holes, depending on the pace of the drilling, but we plan to put them out in batches every 6 to 8 weeks, continuously through next year as we get through the next part of this market.
Okay, well, safe travels, Ivan, back to the States when you come back, and we'll be following up with you with the next batch of drill results.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to it.